Hi, and welcome to part 2 of me making this stitch book. Yeah, it isn't a stitch book already, but it would be this when I'm done. And I will start saying, if you haven't seen the first part of this little series, I will put a link below here under the little word more, and go and look for that before you look at this video. If you're interested in how I jelly printed all the papers I have put in this old theater program. If you don't care about this and you're just interested in the stitching, you can just stay here, but that's up to you. Perhaps I will mention other things here during this video, and all I mention will be linked below here under the little word more. I have also just made me a Ko-fi account, and if you're interested in supporting my little Danish channel so I can make more and better videos for you, there's a link there also. But in any way, don't feel obligated. Yeah, what else do I want to say now? Yeah, of course, I want to introduce myself. If you're new here, my name is Lisbeth and I'm Danish. I'm an abstract mixed media artist who likes to do many different things, and I like to mix different things. And in this little series, it has been about printing your own papers, gluing them in an old theater program, and now I'm going to stitch on paper for you. So let us get started. Sorry if my voice is a little wonky. I think I'm coming up with a cold. I've been sneezing and blowing my nose all morning, but I hope I will survive. Yeah, I will survive, but I hope it will be a easy round. Yeah, first of all, stitching through paper is not difficult. It's just different than stitching into fabric. And there are probably many ways you can do this, but I will tell you my experience with it and how I like to do it, and perhaps it can be helpful to you. If we start with the needles, I use the smallest needle I can thread, and the smaller head you have on your needle, the smaller holes you can make in your paper, and the smaller holes you have in your paper, the more neat it looks. But if you're having a much bigger and a thicker thread than I'm using, of course you will have to have a needle with a little bigger eye, but the smallest needle you can thread, the nicer it will look. I very often pre-poke my holes. It isn't, the holes would look nice if you poke them this way, but when you are coming up this way, well, you don't know where to go through the paper to hit the exact place you want here. And if you first have made a hole in the paper, it is sitting there for good. But there also is a solution for fixing that, because you can, if you have made a hole where you don't want to have it, use your nail and massage it a little, or if it is really bad, you can put a piece of tape under and massage on the front side. So most of the times you are able to make it look nice anyway. But that is why I pre-punch my holes, because it's much easier to come up through a hole that way. That is there already, and the paper is also nice here on this surface if you poke the holes that way and not that way. If you poke that hole, there will come a little paper up. When you poke that way, too much paper will be sitting there, and that doesn't matter. So that it was about poking and the needles, of course. And I have such a piece of plastic thing. It is for some wrapping, but you can use a piece of felt or a piece of cardboard or corrugated cardboard. You can use anything, an old book, or you can just hold it like this and pre-poke. So that was something about that. I have this tool here, and I will say here, this is a tool my hubby has made for me. It is a wooden handle apart from a compass and a needle. And then if I wanted a needle in with a bigger needle so I could make bigger holes, I can take this screw off here and put another needle in. And if some of you are making very fine embroidery where you prick with the blue color yourself, you perhaps have such a thing here. I know people who is, who is lace making, perhaps also have these things here. But else you can make it by yourself. I have a cork here from a bottle of something, champagne perhaps, but all kinds of corks you can use. And then I have just taken a darning needle, and you can see this is a little thicker than this one. So I have two different ones, but you can put a thinner needle in, put it up through the cork and give it a dab of glue. And then you have a nice bun thing. And this round one is nice to hold in your hands also. So that is a cheap way to make a punch thing. I don't know if they have a name, these things here. In Danish they are called en prikker, and a prikker is like pricks, they're not pricks, but like making small holes here. So that was about the way I will do it. That was a lot of talking, so let's get started. And since I don't know if I want this as my front and this as my back yet, and it's like when you are doing a sport or you're playing the piano, you like to warm up. So I often wait with the front and the back pages till later. Then I have done something in my book and I know where I'm going. So I will skip the front and the back, but we can start with these 2 pages here. And I know, I think I said it in the last video, I will do circles. If I will just make rounds or fill the whole circle out or what I will do, I haven't decided yet. And I think I will make every page different and with different color threads on every page. So there is a variation, and it will be exciting to look at. I have such a template here, but you can use all kinds of things for templates. And if you don't want to make circles, you can make anything you can in this way here. It's totally up to you. You don't have to make circles. You can make squares, rectangles, triangles, landscapes. Just do it on the page and not inside a shape. Yeah, shortly told, you can do anything you like. I also have such a thing here for punching cookies and other things out in your kitchen. And if I haven't decided now if I want all my circles to be the same size or want them different sizes, but this way I can also trace a circle with these things. So find a cup or a bowl or a plate or whatever you have and trace with that if you want to do circles. So I think I will start with this page, and perhaps I can also make this page, then I can show you how to glue them together, so you know the way it's going. I can also tell you I don't make knots on the end of my threads here when I'm starting my sewing, because if you put a lot of big fat knots in and you glue this together, you will get some bumps here on your pages, and I don't want that. So I've just secured with a little piece of tape instead. Yeah, so let us try to make this one here. And I think I will take this size here for this one here. And I have a very soft pencil here, so I can trace a circle and see if I can center it the best I can. And I will just make a thin light line, and it should be easy to see here because this is a light paper, and I can see this now, so that would be fine. So to start, the easiest way we can start is to make running stitches. So I will just make running stitches here all the way around in the circumference. So I will take my punch thing here and my this packing material put under, and then I will just pre-poke sorry for the noise if you don't like it, but and of course you can decide how big, small, or whatever size you want. And I will pre-poke all the way around, and for the life of me right now I can't remember if I have to make even or uneven amounts of holes to end up not having two stitches beside each other. So I will go all the way to about there, and then I can eyeball it for the last, and perhaps when I have done it I can count and tell you if you are going to make an even or uneven amount. While I'm doing this, I can perhaps tell you, last year I did a very big challenge called the Stitch Circle Show Challenge, and that was about this size here and all about circles in different ways. And I will also put a link for that under here, because many of the things I think I will be doing here in this book will be where I will take inspiration in the stitches in that challenge. And if I use a specific stitch, I can refer to what week it was, and there I also demonstrate the different stitches. And I think I will stop now. I will thread my needle, find out which color I want to use, and then we can get started. I will just find the first hole there and come up in that there. And make a little tail there, and then I will take my tape and just take a little piece of it, don't need much, and just secure it there. That's all I will be doing. And then it's just going up and down and up and down. So up here and down here. Up here. And I can see I make quite long stitches here. And perhaps you could better understand what I was telling you about here when I talked about pre-poking. You can see how easy it goes. And you can always take an eraser and erase your marks afterwards. But I think you got it, so I will just stitch all the way around, and when I come up to here I can show you the next step. So I've reached that point here. So it was just eyeballed it, and I can see I can make 1, 2, 3 more stitches, and they are quite even. But as far as my crazy brain sees it, I think you must have an even amount of holes, because you use 2 holes for every stitch. So that must tell me that I need an even amount of holes to make running stitches. So I will just make the last couple of stitches and finish up the round here. Whoops, no knots here, please. Please, please, please. There. And there. Of course, there will be a lot of turning up and down here, but and you can't do this in a hoop. So if you want who don't like to sew without a hoop, this isn't probably for you. But this is how it ended up, and I think it looks quite nice. And I think I will do a couple of rounds more, so I will find some smaller circles to draw and make perhaps 2 or 3. I could also instead perhaps draw some lines and just make running stitches in all directions. I will think a little what I will be doing. One thing I have decided already now is, if I make all my circles exactly that place and the same size every time, all my stitching will be sitting there, and when my book is done and glued together, it will get a funny shape. It will be like a bump, high bump here. So I think I will make some of them very small and some of them bigger. Yeah, I will see how it goes, but yeah. So I done a round more, and I think I would do a smaller one here in the middle. And while I'm doing that, I can talk a little about the subject stitching in paper. Of course, there are some limitations, because you can't put your stitches so close as you can when you're stitching on fabric, because if you put 2 holes very, very close in paper, you sometimes there's a risk that they will end up like one hole. You can prevent that by putting a piece of tape on the back side, so it will go a little easier. Another thing is, if you're one who is always scoop stitching, and that means you are doing it, the stitch is going up and down in one workway, you will have a difficult time here, because you have to step stitch here. You have to go down, pull your thread through, and then come up. You can't do it in one workway, and that is, I think, the most different way if you are used to scoop stitch. But I have always been step stitching a lot, and that is just perhaps I don't use a hoop either when I'm stitching, and that is the way I like to do it. So I will, yeah, now I have to concentrate here to try to center my circle here. And if it isn't totally in the center, I won't run screaming away, because it's me, it's handmade, and it's wonky. And that's the way I like it. And now I will have to count to an even number. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 30 it ended up with. So I will make that line also. You don't need to see me that. I think you got it now. And then I will see this is done. You can always go back, and if you want to do more, you can do more. And then when I'm done, I will just secure my thread again with a little piece of tape, like when we started. That is all. So the only time you can't do more is when you have glued these two together. Then there's nothing more you can do. And yeah, so it must be. So I will just let my thread run here on the back side, came up and do another round here. Another thing I will have been, I can see I did the wrong stitch here. What I have been thinking about when I make my videos, am I talking too much? Is I'm going too much in details? Are they too long? So you just wind forward. I know some people perhaps have benefit of me really going into details and showing a lot of the things very precisely, and others of you who are used to doing a lot of things by yourself, you perhaps think, oh, she's really talking and we aren't going anywhere. But I really would like your opinion about that. So if you can give me a comment on that, I would appreciate it. So I will just stitch this round up and see what we will do on the next page. That isn't perhaps so much stitching, but I think this spread here will be an easy one. So I know on this side I will do running stitches also, but I will do double running stitches here so they match up. But I won't do that now because I want to show you how to glue two pages together. So I will go to this here. And another stitch that is good for doing on paper is a fern stitch. And I will show you that. So I used that big circle there on there, didn't I? Yes, I did. So I will take the smaller one here, and also because I will do exactly the same double running stitches here in the circumference, and then I have to put some, I call them legs out to each side. So that's why I know I will come a little further out than the circumference, and that's why I take a smaller circle. And let me see if that is quite okay. I think it is. And again, just a light drawing there. Oops, sorry for shaking you. And there it is. I think it is okay. Again, I will pre-poke, and here it doesn't matter how many holes you do, but I will make them with a little under, what is it? It's not a centimeter. It's a little more than a centimeter. A little under a centimeter and a little more than a half centimeter. So about this here. I will poke all the way around the circumference here. The next hole you want to punch is for the legs, and yeah, perhaps it is easier if I could make it drawing so you can see it. I know it's a little curly, this paper, but this is the holes I have punched now, and they will be filled with running stitches or double running stitches. And then I want two legs out there, so it means I have to punch a hole there and a hole there, and the same there and there, punch a hole there and a hole there. So that means that for every of these holes I have to put two holes more beside. that if you can understand what I'm saying. So if I look at that hole here, I will just go doot and doot. And I will be doing that all the way around. Okay, so done with all this poking here. So I will just come up at the circumference one place here, flip my page, and put a little tape here, there. Okay, so here we go. I go one to the next hole down here, like a running stitch, and then I come up at the hole. Yeah, you can't see it here from the back. Whoops, sorry. Yeah, I have taken you in a little closer here, and I will remove some of the things I can hang in it. So you come up in the same hole in that line, and then you go in here, there, and then you come up here, there, and go down in that hole. And that is like a little chicken feed, but that all you do every time. So you go to the next hole here, go in the previous hole, and if you have been able to scoop stitch, you would come up here, but I will ruin my paper if I do that. Then I come down here and the same again, yeah, and up here at the next hole, if I can see it. If you can't see it, you sometimes can feel it instead. And here it is much more difficult to see because there are all this pattern here. If it had been a white page, it would have been much easier. And you go down again. It is like a little branch from a pine or so. The one in the middle is the easiest one to find. There. And down. And if you do that stitch or that stitch, that doesn't matter which one you do first. So you will end up with a circle looking like one of those things you hang on your Christmas door. Or on your door on Christmas, not a Christmas door. Perhaps it's called a ring or something like that. I'm not sure. Okay. So that is what I will be doing all the way around. Nothing else but that. And I can see I have pre-poked a hole too much right there. I think. No, I haven't. That's fine. There is also one on the other side. I will sew this all the way around and show it to you when I'm done. So done with this stitching, and it went very nice. A lovely ring here. So now I will glue these two pages together, and I will just use my glue stick. Of course you can use anything else, but the more runny your glue is, whoops, there it was, the more the glue can seep through the holes and out here, and I don't want that. That's why I use a glue stick here, and this is only for my own pleasure, and it isn't something that will end up in a museum, so this glue will hold the best it can. But I will go all over. For instance, yeah, I can put this in here so I not get glue anywhere else that I want. And I try to avoid where there's stitching. And then I can go in here and in here, and especially in the corners and the line sides. And I will also give it a little here on all four sides. And I can go in here also. And then I will remove this one, and then I will just do it like this and secure that they are sitting nice over each other, and they are. And then I will just squeeze it down the best I can. And the ideal thing would be to let it under a book now, so it would end up staying flat. But I would show you a little thing more, and then I think I will end this video, and I think there will be a couple of parts more in this series here. And perhaps if anybody is interested in doing it with me, you're more than welcome. Maybe I can find 2 hashtags, and if I do, you can tag me with them, or tag me on my Facebook side or my Instagram, so I can see what you're doing. That would be nice if you want to follow along. And you will see this is nice and flat now, so I will just let that be. This here, while I was waiting here for something, I traced 2 circles here and made running stitches again, exactly like here. But running stitches, double running stitches, and here is my needle. Often, you can make them in the same color, but I think it looks nice if you use another color. So every second stitch has another color, and yeah, that is perhaps air. Is that dark enough? I don't know if you can see the difference. I will go a little and wait to glue this until I can see I like the color. And the way I think it is easier to hold it is to do doot here. So turn the page up and down here every time you go this way. Yeah, now it ended up because it wasn't secured. But no, I can see here now. You can't really see the difference, so no point in using this color. I think this here is better. So I will thread my needle and just make a round of the running stitches like I have done in the spaces where there isn't any thread now. So here, that went better than I feared. Yeah. secure that later, so let us see if this is better. Yeah, this is better. I really like when you're doing this and you're using black and white thread. That's really up my ball game. So I won't be using black and white here on this. I don't know if I will do this in my book here, but you could also have whipped the running stitches. So, yeah, you can't perhaps see it very much, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think I will let it be, because then I have to find an even lighter one. I will see what I can do, and when I have decided what color and I have sewn it, I will show it to you. So done with the stitching here, and you can see I ended up using this color instead. And yeah, it's every woman's right, and it's an artistic right also to change your mind if you don't think it looks like you want it to look. But as so many times before, I get cheated with the colors when I only use one single thread, because the difference is very big here. But when you only have the thin thread here and on a background that is in the same ball game, it doesn't work. The contrast isn't big enough. So I'm very happy I changed that. So that is something to think about, that you need perhaps bigger contrast if you want it to be different when you only are using a thin thread and not look at the whole spool here. So now this is ready for me gluing onto this when I figure out what to do. But I'm so happy about the way this page is. You can see it is totally flat and it looks so nice. But my video is nearly as long as I think it should be. But I think I would start this up and show you how to do it and sew it by myself and show it, and then this part 2 must be in this length here. The video must be in this length, and then there must be as many parts as there has to be here. So this was the one I used here. So yeah, since I'm going to do a stitch that's also coming out on the both sides of the circumference, I think I will take the same size here and trace it the best I can. Yeah, nobody says I couldn't do it up there and there and there, but that's just me. You can place them anywhere you want, and again do anything you like to do. This is just me showing you my way of doing things, and hopefully it inspires you and gives you ideas for what you can do. The stitch I want to do here is called the feather stitch, and I think it is perhaps easiest to show you by making dots, because the dots indicates where I will punch holes, the way you're going to sew the stitch. And yeah, perhaps it would have been easier if I had something I could show you what it looks like. But you come up here and go down here, but you let a loop hang there, and then you make and come up here, so you secure the loop. That is the first stitch. and then you come up here. Oh, sorry, come down here, and that makes a loop here, and you go down here, and that is the way you are doing it all the time. So the way your holes are going to be sitting is like this, and that is just because it's the first one. So you can see you have a middle, and so this is the way that you're going to punch your holes, like this. So in fact, yeah, it would be better if I do it out there, that one out there, and that there. But I will punch all these holes that goes like this, and then I can easily show you. Yeah, perhaps I have just a moment. I will find the stitch in my book. That is perhaps easier. So let me see here. I will make a hole there and a hole there, 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 there. We can start so with these holes so you can see it. So I come up here in the first hole, and I change my color of thread so it will have a little variation to the side or the page beside. So just secure it there. Okay, so here we go. I will remove all this so it won't be tangled up. Yeah, I will make a hole up here. There. And then I come down in the next hole and put my needle into the loop like this. So there's your first stitch, and then I will go to this inside the circle, come up in the next middle hole and into the loop. Yeah, what can I do to perhaps come in a little closer here? Sorry for shaking you. Yeah, then I will go out here. You don't pull your thread all the way through. Come up in the middle on the hole in the circumference and go inside the loop. Yeah, like this. Go to the inner hole in the middle, not in the middle, but inside the trace line. Come up in the circumference and into the loop. Yeah. Go down at the hole outside the circle, come up in the middle, in the circumference, and go in the loop. And there. That is how you make the feather stitch. And I have made mine quite big. I can see. Oh, sorry again. But you have to place your holes closer together if you want them smaller. And into the loop again. And there you go. I really like to sew this stitch, but I can see I've made it quite big, but so it must be. I have started on it this way. So again, you go from left to right and left to right all the time. Out in the hole in the outside the circumference and into the loop. There. Pull your thread through there. Go to the hole inside the circumference. And up in the hole in the circumference, the hole in the middle. There. Okay, this is the feather stitch. And yeah, I will sew it all the way around and figure out if there's something else I can do with it, because I think it looks a little, yeah, like I've been in a hurry, and so because there isn't much stitching. So done with the feather stitches, and I think it looked a little poorly with only one round, so I made another. So I think it looks a little better that way, but in the hindsight I should have punched my holes much closer to each other, so the stitches would have been filling some more. But now it is what it is and looks like this. But if you're insecure on stitching on paper, take a piece of cardstock and practice on that. That will give you an idea on how it is before you put your needle in a book you perhaps have made. So I think this video is long enough. So there will be a part 3, I know. If there also would be a part 4, I don't know, because there are many pages still in my book, and if I make it in the same way as I've done it today, it can take its time. But perhaps I will just embroider some of them and tell you how I did it, because it wasn't supposed to be something for so long. But you never know I never know when I start something how much in detail I will go, and how long time it will take. And it's also, for me, it takes some time to do all the stitching. So yeah. So this were the 2 spreads we made today, or I made today. So I talked about, if you wanted to do something similar, you're more than welcome to do that. So I have made a hashtag here you can use on Facebook and Instagram, and it is hashtag paper stitch circles in one word, of course. And if you will tag me so I can see what you're doing, it can either be on Snabelé. What is this called in English? Yeah, at, of course, at Dragon Kunst or at Lisbeth Dine. That's my name, and that's a site I also have. That is my company name. I don't have a company anymore. I have a homepage that's called that name, but yeah, that was my name when I had a stitch. No, not a stitch, but a knitting firm or company where I designed shawls and things. But that is another story. But take a screen dump if you want here. Okay. So I will round this video up here and say thank you for following along, and I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope you have been inspired, and perhaps you now think, oh, I want to stitch on paper, and that is really my goal here. And putting things in books is one of my preferred methods when I do so many things as I do, because then you can just slap it there and put it in a shelf, and then you can use it for inspiration perhaps another time. But if you have been inspired or you have enjoyed my videos, please give my video a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing my little Danish channel. That would be very much appreciated. Also, give me a comment on what I asked you in the video here about the way I do it, and perhaps hit the notification bell so you know when there are coming videos up from me. But else I would only say stay creative the best you can, and please take care of yourself and among people around you, and be nice. Try to be nice to everybody. I know it can be hard sometimes. Yeah, but please, that's the only thing we ordinary people can do in this crazy world right now. But I think I will see you in a week's time, where we do a couple of more pages in this book here. So bye bye for now. Toodaloot and auf Wiedersehen.